Hello and welcome to Biz Buzz with Bruno, presented by Mads Theater. I'm Michael Bruno, your fabulous host, and to wonderful people talking to us about Steel Magnolias. Please say hello to Thomas Kasdorf and to Isabel Salata.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Yay! Well, thank you for taking time out of your tech week, right? For coming and talking to us about it. So, Isabel, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what your background is and where you're from, and get to know you today.
Absolutely. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Isabel. I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Cool.
So, pretty apt for this show. And I grew up there, spent the first 18 years of my life there doing musical theater and dance. Went to Memphis, Tennessee for college. Spent 6 years there, ended up getting my master's in vocal performance. And then it was COVID, so I decided to keep on in school and ended up at UW-Madison getting my doctorate in vocal performance. Hopefully finishing that up here sometime soon. And at UW I met Thomas, and Thomas got me down to Middleton to do musicals. Done a couple of musicals there, and he decided to do a straight play this year. So doing something that's not my usual musical theater, but enjoying it just the same.
And how are you finding that? Is this the first time you've done a play that hasn't been a musical?
This is the second time I've done a play that hasn't been a musical. The first being in high school, and it was Steel Magnolias. And I also played Shelby.
Easy peasy. You already had the whole thing memorized, right?
Oh, I wish, Just thinking, trying to look at the script and see if I could remember things from 10 years ago. And some things came back a little, but not as much as I would have hoped.
And what was the first musical that you worked with Thomas?
The first musical was The Musical of Musicals, The Musical, which was the first show that MPT did coming back after COVID. And I was June. In the second cast, it was double cast because we were still so heavily dealing with COVID.
Right.
And yeah, that was 3 years ago now.
Yep.
3 years ago. Yeah.
And have you performed with any other companies besides Middleton Players?
I did the Rodgers and Hammerstein production with Four Seasons this past year, and then I've done a number of UW opera productions. But in this particular area of the country, those I think are the companies I've worked with. I did a lot of theater back in Memphis and stuff. But yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Well, welcome to Madison, because this is the first time I've actually met you. So I'm very, very happy to get to know you.
You're relatively new here.
Yeah. And of course, Thomas, I've known since you were in high school, I think, when we did Little Shop.
Absolutely.
Really, how old were you? Were you still in high school then?
I was definitely still in high school, because that was, 2004?
2004.
Yeah.
Oh, how could that be 20 years ago?
It's
How is
crazy,
that
but
possible?
welcome back. It's great to see you.
That's just crazy. So obviously you've been around in Madison. You're like a staple in Madison theater and Madison music. Where were you prior to our meeting?
So I grew up in Middleton, and so I've been a lifelong resident of Middleton, and that is sort of how I came to be. I was doing a lot of theater at the Bartell, and through Jay Patrick actually met Chris Riggles, who brought me on board for Middleton Players Theatre productions, and that was so many years ago, but I never got away. 20 summers strong,
That is amazing. It just boggles my mind. So now you've done both musical directing, but you've also acting. I've seen you in a couple of performances, which you were stellar in. My favorite was Sweeney Todd. That was such a great performance.
Was so much fun.
That was you and Megan, right?
Megan Randolph.
Yeah, Megan. Oh, Megan. Love Megan. So do you have a preference over directing or performing?
I get asked this pretty regularly, and no, I try not to have anything. There are like dream shows that come around every once in a while, like Sweeney Todd, like George and Sunday in the Park with George, where I was very, very passionate and enthusiastic about it. But I actually really love working the bigger picture with a lot of people, and helping shape sort of the way in which a show will unfold. And I think that's why I've loved working with Middleton Players Theatre so much, because it is a community organization with very, very high standards that we've set for artistic achievement. But it is that community atmosphere and the community vibe of people working together for a similar goal. So I think I actually do enjoy directing and music directing and having that part more than the acting, but it depends on the show. I love getting up there and working with people too.
And now you're actually doing a non-musical.
We are.
So this is the first time you've done one, is it?
I think we've done, per my records, we did a 1 weekend of the complete works of William Shakespeare abridged 10 years ago. But I think that this is the first main stage straight play that we've done, at least in my tenure here. And part of it is, the economy. It is expensive to do a musical and to do lots of musicals, especially at the start of the school year when everything is really, really taken at the district level. But we were really, really happy to convince them to share the space with us. And I felt that Steel Magnolias, with a story about a community of women being together right now, is something that we really, really need in the world. And we really enjoy that message.
Plus, you have a beautiful new theater now. You
do.
have not only the main stage, now you have the Black Box Theater, which is where you're doing Magnolias, right?
And the Black Box is just it's a wonderfully warm and put together sort of intimate venue that we could do bigger things and have, we did Avenue Q in there, which was a fairly giant musical to be doing in a Black Box. But there's something so unique about it being right there and immediate, and state-of-the-art everything at Middleton right now. Thank you, taxpayers, for all of your
and that's all completed now, right?
It is all completed, and they did some renovations in the main stage theater as well, new seating and new lighting and sound equipment. And we're just happy to show it off any chance we get.
That's great. And now, so you have to share the space, obviously, with the high school, right? Now, have you worked with the high school productions at all?
I have done little tiny stints. I've never actually done a major role for them, but every once in a while, last year or 2 years ago, I came in and did some COVID coverage for a production of Into the Woods that they were doing, and that was fun working with the high school students in that capacity. But I've never done anything truly with the high school program. Katrina Brunner is there, and she's amazing.
She is still there. Yeah. Oh, good. That was the question, because that was our show with Katrina that brought us all together. So I'm good. I'm glad that she's at the helm there.
I think they're getting ready to do Beauty and the Beast. You should see if she'd be willing to.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. So with Steel Magnolias, so was this your first choice to direct it?
Yes. I've done 3 other productions, all high school. One that I directed and 2 that I sort of worked on and assisted. But this was my first chance getting to work with actual adult women in this capacity, and it's a very, very different experience. These women in particular, they are all firecrackers.
You have got it. I've got to say,
we have a very stacked cast.
You have got some cast, I'll tell you. So what's that been like for you?
It's been really, really great. I had a little bit of trepidation about being a sort of an outsider, because it's a female perspective driven show with all of these incredibly talented women, and I don't want to get in their way at all. And so it's a lot of dialogue about what we're going for, and I hope that they know that I have the utmost trust and faith in them as performers. And if we ever have come together and butt heads, it's always been what they've wanted is actually correct. And so that's been a very, very good thing for me to learn. And
you've probably worked with most of them, haven't you, previously?
I've worked with most of these women in some capacity, usually as a music director, actually. But
cool. So tell me about Shelby. Since you know her intimately twice in your life, you've lived in her skin as it is.
Yeah, Shelby, I think you used the word firecracker. Shelby is a firecracker. She is so much fun to play. She is feisty and strong-willed, but full of love and care for those around her. And I think the coolest thing about playing her is that she was really built by the women around her. And so you can see little pieces of her in the ways that she interacts with the other women in the show. And you can tell how all of their personalities have kind of infiltrated into her and made her who she is. And I think that that's really cool from a character perspective, but also because I get to work with all of these women in real life. I get to build those bonds with them, and I get to kind of absorb, some of them into me as Isabel, not just Shelby. So it has been just so much fun. And Thomas, you mentioned that you were concerned at the beginning, but there has been no need for concern or trepidation. He has been phenomenal in taking the helm of this production, but also listening and allowing us to really invest in our characters. And I think that that's one of the main reasons that I felt such a connection to Shelby, is she has come almost entirely from within me, and from what I view from her instead of from an external direction.
And what do you find the difference now in playing her as you did when you were in high school, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you've gone through your own personal arc in there. So are you finding different things in Shelby that you maybe not have seen the first time around when you did it?
Absolutely. You mentioned that you've done Steel Magnolias a number of times. This is the first time with adults. Obviously, this is the first time I've done it as an adult. And reading the script, I was like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. I missed so much. I didn't know what was going on. I was 16. I didn't understand half of what I was saying. And I really thought I did, because I really thought I was a grown-up.
Well, we all do when we're 16.
Absolutely.
we all think we're grown-ups.
Absolutely. But reading it now, I see such a warmth and such a depth in Shelby that I think I didn't get at the time. I understood her sassiness and I understood her love of life, but I don't think I quite understood the sacrifice and the depth of love that she has for those around her. And I think that has been really beautiful to get to bring to life now, and to get to understand more deeply.
And what's it like working with the other actors in the show?
Amazing, slightly terrifying. We have some iconic Madison performers on this stage. And as someone who, A, is not from Madison, and B, is primarily a musical theater performer, I was like, I'm going to be out of my league. Like, I don't know if I can keep up with them, but they have been so gracious, so phenomenal to work with, and just a ton of fun. We spend 90% of rehearsals cackling. It is, I think Thomas's main job as director is telling us, okay, you need to stop laughing now so we can actually get some work done. But they're phenomenal. They're incredible. You have to come see this show to see all of them, and just the way that they're bringing these deep, beautiful, incredible characters to life.
Excellent. So it went right out of my head. Oh, so are you instructing them on their true accents? since you're a native of the South, and these are all Northern girls, I'm sure.
I have been taking a little pride in being our resident Louisiana expert, especially since MPT has been doing a lot of Wisconsin-based shows. Like, y'all just did Lumberjacks in Love. They did Spitfire Girl last year. Lumberjacks, I came and saw it, and some of the jokes I just didn't get because I'm not from here. And now I feel like I get it. I really know what's going on. So not only have I provided some light direction on accents and a couple of specific pronunciations. Sometimes Thomas looks at me and he's like, is it aunt or aunt? And I'm like, it's aunt in the South, definitely. Or my personal favorite,
Piggly Wiggly?
Piggly Wiggly. Not apparently people up here say Piggly Wiggly, like not 3 syllables, but I say Piggly Wiggly. And for some reason, this show does include a reference to Piggly Wiggly, and we are saying it Piggly Wiggly, and I've never been more proud of anything in my life. But it feels like, this show feels like coming home to me, and all of the references and the recipes and the just little Louisiana idiosyncrasies have been really sweet, and it makes me proud to be from my home state, and also really proud to get to be here in Wisconsin now, and kind of spreading that little Southern love.
And you told me earlier that when you did it previously, you actually were in the show and had to serve the people in dinner theater.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
It was funny. It was our director's idea that we would do kind of an intimate production and make people feel like they were really involved. And the dinner theater idea kind of lent itself to that. So the tables were set up on the stage, and we, the cast, were the waiters and waitresses before the show. So we would be walking around in full costume because we had to get ready, an hour before the show, serving our friends and family, our peers, because this was high school. And then about 5 minutes before the show, a bell would ding, you would go backstage, and then you'd be on. So it was wild, but...
So were you serving any of the recipes? The Southern recipes?
I think we were serving red beans and rice, which I don't think is mentioned.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think that Anel is
Anel
going to bring it.
mentions?
Yeah.
She does.
Oh, right.
I think I'm not going to say where I am at that point because that would be a spoiler, but I'm not in that scene. But red beans and rice is such a classic Southern dish.
Sure.
Such a classic Louisiana dish. We had it at school every Monday growing up because it's a Monday thing in Louisiana. I don't know why, but it is. You have it on Mondays.
The more you know.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure we served red beans and rice to all the people who came and saw the show. So it was definitely a way of bringing people in and really giving them a taste, if you will, of the production and of the culture of the show.
Love it. And Thomas, you were telling me that you did a show where somebody actually was doing their hair before the show?
Yeah, the Truvy would give a haircut to an audience member live at the house open, and that happened while everybody was coming in and taking their seats. They just watched some poor unsuspecting stranger get their haircut.
Was it the winner or the loser?
I don't know, and I don't know. I never really found out if this was like something that had been rigged or like a friend had been decided that it was going to happen. But Truvy did a haircut, and that was she just was done with that. They got shuffled to the audience, and then on with the show. Yeah.
I love it. So now, obviously, the whole entire thing takes place in the beauty salon, which, for those that may not know the difference between the stage play and the movie, because it's just the women are in this. It's all women, whereas the movie, they kind of open it up and you see all the husbands and boyfriends and extraneous men that are in the thing. So
extraneous men.
We might have described it as something similar.
Yeah. So during the production, are they actually doing hairdos and washing and doing setting and doing all the...
They're going to do some hairdos. There's not going to be washing, although we do have a giant 3,000-pound sink on the stage, but there won't be any water coming out of it. And we won't be doing, colors and true setting. But our Kate Ieski and Natalie Miller, who are our Truvy and our Anel, will actually be doing live hair and wig stylings and things. It'll be very exciting.
Because you'll actually get your hair done in the show, right?
I get it done. I get it cut. Luckily, it's not going to be my hair.
That's nice.
Going to have some great wigs
You
going
are welcome.
on. Thank you. But yeah, it's going to be live and in color. So.
I love it. So what did you feel going into the space and doing it the very first time we saw the space and you were going to do it in there? What was your first reaction to that, and when you first met the cast the first time?
Absolutely. So I've worked in the space a couple of times.
Okay.
Like I said, I think I've done a couple of shows with Middleton before, and all of the shows that I've been involved in have been in the black box.
Oh, okay.
The difference now is that we had the space set up in the thrust in the past, and now it's proscenium, so it does feel a little bit different, but still very intimate, and you just feel so connected to those around you and to the audience themselves. It's been so wonderful getting to walk in and see the set going up and seeing the phenomenal props package and all of the intricacies of the space. It really makes it feel real. And I think that that's the most interesting thing so far about this show is how personal, intimate, and real it feels. It feels like we're just a group of women hanging out, chatting, and doing life. And it's really been just such a cool experience in that way, and I think that the space really lends itself to that. Walking in and meeting the other women, I think I only knew 2, actually, which is a different experience for Middleton because especially with the musicals, a lot of the same people audition, a lot of the same people are kind of around, and you really get to build that community, which is amazing. But given that this is a straight play, I think we got a little bit of a different crowd for auditions, and maybe some people that, haven't been around in a while. I also maybe am not the best person to speak to it because I've only lived here 3 years, but, people that I hadn't met before, and meeting them and doing the first table read, I was just astounded. They're phenomenal. Most of them are their characters in real life.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kate Uyeski, who is playing Truvy, some of the lines that come out of her mouth, I'm like, you would just say that. And Miss Pat Hetland, who plays Clary, the same thing. Things come out of her mouth, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure you said that 3 days ago when we were just hanging out, just us, And literally every single person in this show is so well cast and hilarious and bringing their characters to life in such a beautiful way. So it's been an honor, and I think a little kick in the pants for me to keep up,
That's good. That's not a bad thing,
it's a
right?
learning experience, and
Yeah.
that's one of the goals of Middleton, is to help to foster the artists in the community and help give them a safe space to learn and grow. And I definitely feel that I have had that at Middleton during my time here in Madison, and this has been another incredible opportunity to grow as an artist, as a performer, and specifically as an actor, where I usually pride myself on my singing and on my dancing. So it's been pretty cool.
And you've been killing it.
Well, you can come see for yourself.
This is the final finished product.
Yeah.
So, Thomas, tell me about the auditions. What were the auditions like for this?
Well, the auditions for this we did separately from the auditions we had for Big Fish and for Lumberjacks in Love, because it was just a play, and I was really I kept going back and forth on it, but we ended up just doing solo reads of monologue sort of things, and not everybody has a monologue, so it was sort of strung together things. I didn't want the ladies to interact together until we were actually working on the material. I didn't want people to try and show a Clary and Weezer relationship and not have discussed that with one another and sort of goals. So it was very isolating, I think, for the auditioners. But we saw a lot of people that we hadn't been seeing for musical theater.
Sure.
And that was really, really exciting to see some people that I had worked with, again, 20, 25 years ago and hadn't really been keeping up with because my path took me into musical theater. And if you don't go in that path, you don't go in that path. But all of these women are just so incredibly talented, but also so incredibly kind and warm and generous and really, really thinking about not only what their characters are going through, but the effects that their characters have on people. And it's just been very, very exciting to see the dialogue build over time. You know, things that we talked about in a concept meeting when we started rehearsing, really not getting dealt with, but kind of the memory of that being there. And then now it's just a fully bloomed concept that nobody really had to do anything. They're just attentive to one another. And it's so cool. And yeah, I feel very, very fortunate. Again, come and see the show, see these women, support them. They are incredible.
And this is the last show of the current season.
It
right?
is.
And they haven't announced what
We have
what
not
next
announced,
season.
but hopefully very soon we will be able to.
And do you know, or do you think that there will be another non-musical in the next season?
I do think that there will be another non-musical. I think that we're pretty committed to going down this path. And again, not only just the economic value of doing a straight play, but there are so many great straight plays out there. And again, we don't want to limit ourselves to people that are only, you know, singer, dancer, actor people, but people that just really want to delve into that. And so it's one of my personal goals that we do more expansion of straight plays.
Cool. And now, so what other things are on the horizon for you, or that you're currently doing besides embodying Shelby?
Well, like I mentioned, I'm trying to finish up my doctorate. Hopefully with
Like that's just nothing, right?
Yeah,
You don't have to spend any time on
As
that.
one of her committee members, she's gonna do it. She's got
gonna
it.
do it. She's gonna do it. It's a lot of work, but that's where the majority of my time is going nowadays. But we do have an upcoming performance that both Thomas and I will be a part of with the Middleton Community Orchestra. Both myself and the wonderful mezzo-soprano Madison Barrett will be performing December songs with them and Thomas.
And I will be performing Beethoven's Second Piano Concerto with them.
Wow.
And that is in
December
December 18th,
18th?
I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And is this at the main stage at Middleton?
This will actually be at
Oh.
Hamel Concert Hall
You're right.
downtown.
Oh, the downtown. Oh, nice.
Glad you remember. I was going to say yes.
Oh, nice. That's a beautiful space.
It's a beautiful, beautiful venue. And December Songs, for those of you that don't know, is actually a musical theater kind of composition. It was a Maury Yeston piece that he was commissioned by Carnegie Hall for their something memory thing, but it's a classical musical theater crossover piece. And this version that Isabel and Madison Barrett will be singing is an orchestral version of it that was commissioned by, or at least premiered by, Victoria Clark, who's a music theater singer from Light in the Piazza and Kimberly Akimbo. And so we're keeping up our theater chops even in the orchestral world.
Absolutely.
And who's presenting that?
This is Middleton Community Orchestra.
It had been Middleton Community Orchestra. Okay, cool. And that's in December.
December.
Yes.
Yep.
Obviously, December
December
songs
songs.
should be done in December. One would think.
Thematic.
Obviously, so once you finish all of your schoolwork, I'm assuming that you're planning a career in theater.
One would hope.
Do you find that in looking around, having been in Madison for 3 years, that you would pursue that here, or do you think you'd need to move on to a bigger city with more opportunity?
You know
that is a loaded question for you.
Deep loaded question.
My goodness, you don't
got
even
this.
know. I think that the world is my oyster, but also that Madison has a lot to offer. And I have deeply enjoyed becoming a part of the community here. And that I know that I will be connected here for a long time to come. So I don't know if that totally answers your question. I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't quite know what the future will hold for me. I hope that it will hold a lot of performing, a lot of teaching. I'm a voice teacher also. That's primarily what I do during my doctorate. And I hope that it'll involve a lot of collaborations with all of the lovely characters I've met around here. I keep telling Thomas that he needs to start a musical theater program around here and give me a job. So we'll see.
See, there you
Maybe
go.
it's up to him.
There you go. There you go.
I wish.
You're hanging your hat in the right exact chapeau. No, what is the name of the millinery store?
Could not tell you.
It's a millinery store, right?
Yeah.
Is that where hats are?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that where in Hello Dolly doesn't she run a millinery store?
I think so.
And it's all hats with ribbons on her back.
Uh,
Boy, there's a loose reference for you. Well, like I'm constantly amazed, and since I've come back to Madison in 2001, and when we were working together, at how theater and the companies and the arts have grown immensely in Madison, which is crazy for that really short period of time, not including the COVID years, which were the dark years for everybody. But every time I turn around, there's either a new company or there's new people that are coming to town and doing amazing things here. And it's really kind of nice to know that there's opportunities, and that now there's opportunities with companies where you can actually make a living at it. Mm-hmm. There are more and more companies that are actually, that are giving stipends or actually paying people. It's really encouraging, because back in the day, it was like, if you didn't, work at, for Madison Opera or work for the biggies, it was all volunteer. It was all community based. It was like you did for love of doing theater. And now it just seems that thankfully, there are places where the talent is here, and the talent can stay here, because you don't have to go to Milwaukee or Minneapolis or Chicago or New York or any place else where the competition is, the bar is really high, but that's where the jobs are. Mm-hmm. So I think you're absolutely right in knowing that it's good that you meet the people who are the movers and shakers and who are gonna do things that will help you in your career. So.
Definitely. Maybe become a mover and shaker myself. Who knows?
I have a sneaky feeling that salt and pepper will be part of your shaker. Part of your shaker in your future. Very cool. So, Thomas, what is your next, besides the thing in December? What's on the horizon for you next?
I am also on faculty for University of Wisconsin-Madison as their vocal coach. So I will be working on their production of Songbird, which is University Opera's fall production. It's originally a French opera that has been given an English update and set actually in New Orleans.
There you go.
In the sort of jazz age New Orleans, and that'll be in November. So that will be occupying my time after we finish Steel Magnolias.
And that's with
University Opera.
University Opera.
Yep. And then I think that I will have a very busy spring, but I'm not sure that I have license to say what I will be doing in the spring yet.
Upcoming events. To be announced.
Yes.
To be announced. Well, I'm so delighted that you could both make it today. Thank you for taking time up, because you're going into Tech Week, right? Starting tomorrow?
Tomorrow. We're going to go wig shopping after this.
Lovely. And you've got 2 weekends.
Yes.
Right? And it opens
the Friday. What is that? The 14th? Friday no.
13th.
13th. Friday the 13th. You're opening on Friday the 13th.
We are.
Very lucky.
Yes, very lucky.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we are.
And then we have shows that Friday, Saturday, a Sunday matinee, and then the following weekend we have Friday night and 2 on Saturday. And then we are done. A matinee and an evening, and then we're closed.
Very nice. Well, knowing the show and knowing these two, I highly recommend you get tickets for it because, number one, it's an amazing show. Number two, you have an amazing cast. You have a great director. You have amazing facility. So I wish you all the best luck in the world and happy Hell Week for you because there's nothing better than going to Tech Week for a show.
It'll be a lot of fun.
It will be. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you in 3 weeks. At the end of September, because Ben and I are taking our birthday weeks off. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jim. And we'll talk to you next time.